Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Aliens. I am John, and as always, thank you so much for being here. A good topic for you today. Let's do it. What are the creepiest things you've ever seen in the woods? Please remember to like, share, comment, hype, listen, and ask for shoutouts. And subscribe.
This happened just off the Pacific Coast Trail in the mountains of California. I went to visit my brother at his house in the Northern California mountains during the summer. My brother, two nephews, 20 and 18 at the time, and I set out on a game plan to go hike to a discreet lake on top of the mountains located just off the PCT. It would take us 2 days to get to our location. As we were walking and getting close to our destination on the first day, we come across two strange things. One being a rock that was perfectly shaped into a heart. I'm not talking about a small pebble or a stone that you can hold in one hand, but a 10-pound rock that needed two hands to hold. We ended up keeping it, and my brother now has it. The second was a single large footprint in the middle of the hiking trail. The footprint had to have been a size 15 plus. Not unordinary, but weird because it was a single footprint. We took a picture of my brother's boot side by side with the footprint, and it was wider and longer than his boot print. Weird things aside, we leave the stone and footprint and continue our journey. As we find a nice spot to set up camp, we get this strange feeling that something is close. We looked up this hill probably around 100 to 200 yards out and heard this loud bang and saw this huge tree come tumbling down. We figured a bear must have knocked it down, and we all get ready for what we thought was going to happen. We figured the bear was going to come straight to us, so my brother had his gun drawn and my two nephews and I got out our knives and were at the ready. But the strange thing was that nothing happened. We didn't see or hear anything, any signs of life or any noise moving up or down the hill. It was just silent. So we ended up staying at the campsite, and the following day we tried to make it to the lake. We didn't find it, lol, but on our way out of the forest, we grabbed the stone and took it home with us as a token from our perilous adventure. Both I and my father ride dirt bikes, and we love to explore different things. We took a trip up to West Virginia to ride in the mountains. We don't usually follow a map, but we always have a GPS and satellite phone if we're lost. Exploring one day, we started down a long trail that seemed almost endless down a hill where it kept cutting back. 30 minutes into driving down a hill, it seemed to repeat, so we decided to get off and follow a river upstream. As we followed the river, there was a clearing, just a field surrounding the river, so we stopped and noticed that to one side there was a large building. This building was 3 stories, was made of yellowish faded brick with brown and red bricks making 2 stripes. Most all of the bottom windows were broken, which seemed normal for some random abandoned building in West Virginia. We got off our bikes and walked up to the building. From the front, looking in through the glass doors, we saw it mostly all empty but had trash and whatnot on the inside. On the right side of the main entrance, there was a sort of root cellar that had windows half below the dirt level. We walked through the main doors and saw pictures everywhere on the ground. Picking them up, we noticed they were all black and white, Polaroid pictures. The first few were of the building, but in the pictures were cars and streets and people along with no trees. Remember, this building was in the middle of nowhere, in a random field with no pavement or anything around it. In the middle of this main room, a lobby I guess, was a single chair that had one of its legs broken off the front, so it was balanced on 3. Picking up more pictures, they got creepy, where they were of people without faces or limbs. We started to think it was some type of hospital. In each of these pictures of victims or patients, there was the same man in the background, but it was hard to make out defined features. As I was picking through the pictures in the lobby, My dad was in the root cellar, which, he told me later, had a large wooden chair with straps on either arm and one for the legs. While looking around, a large crash and the sound of shattered glass came from behind me, and the three-legged chair had crashed both me and my dad, so we went running to our dirt bikes and frantically left. About 3 months later, we went up again, but this time with two of my dad's friends, and so we wanted to show them this place. We took the same trail and the same GPS coordinates of our last shop before we found this hospital 3 months later. We wound up in the same clearing. There was nothing to be seen whatsoever. No building, no footprints, no pavement, nothing. Besides the three-legged chair sitting in the middle of the field on the river, we left, never to talk about it again, because we thought we were insane. I went on a camping trip with my dad and a couple of uncles. My half-sister was along too. We were going to meet up with a bunch of guys and their families from my uncle's military unit. My dad went on ahead of us, while we chilled and went at a more sedate pace. My uncles are pretty cool, but they are hardcore camper survivalists. So they suggested we take a more scenic route through some woods. It was kind of off the planned route, and my sister and I had a lot of fun as my uncles were messing around with walkies and pretending to scout places. Campfires were more fun and relaxed with drinks than when my dad was around, and my uncles told some pretty good stories. Things started getting weird though. My uncle one day stopped joking around and actually started taking proper looks around. They wouldn't tell us why, but I guess that something had spooked them. My sister is better at the tracking stuff, and she started noticing things weren't right, that someone was following us. Then we started seeing things carved in the trees ahead, meaningless symbols. I confronted my uncles. They told me they had a feeling that they were watched when they first entered the woods, but kept quiet as there wasn't any evidence. They told me that the man that was watching us could have concealed himself much easier than he did, but he didn't want to. He was trying to make us take a different route, as my uncles would alter course depending on the signs of him being there. I originally thought this might be an elaborate joke, but I saw something in their eyes that changed my mind. Fear. These are hardened vets, and they were scared. That's when we started seeing him, at a distance through the trees. It was deliberate. My uncles didn't chase him, as they didn't want to leave us alone. They shouted at him and pointed a gun at him. He didn't care. He just stared at us. He looked like a wild man with ragged clothes and a lot of hair. My uncles took turns taking a watch at night. No more jokes. On edge. Gun out. Told us to use our whistles if he got too close and gave us knives if he got really close. It was a really dark night. All of us around the fire, but looking into the trees, and we heard him speak. His voice haunts me. Why? Because it was strangely normal, completely civil, almost smooth. Not the kind you would expect, as my uncles called him the wild man. He said, "Good evening." Nearly pissed myself. The voice was really close. My uncles went quiet as they started looking for where they thought he was. My sister was the first to speak. She said, "Who are you? What do you want?" It was quiet for a while. Then even closer from a different direction, interesting questions. I'm afraid I don't really want to answer them. I caught a glimpse of him. He was smiling. I shouted and pointed, and my uncle took a shot. He moved away. One of my uncles chased after him with a torch and gun, whilst the others stayed with us. He didn't catch him. None of us slept that night. We took a different route, coming into a clearing with a largish body of water. He was on the other side. He waved, then disappeared back into the woods. Then we saw what he wanted us to see. A campsite. But it was a wreck. It looked trashed. My uncles reckoned it wasn't more than a few days old. One of the sleeping bags was soaked in blood. The other was ripped, like someone had been dragged out of it. There was human hair as well, torn out, with clumps of skin too. It was too much for me and my sister. We found the others a day later. The police and rangers were called. The two missing were a young newlywed couple really into camping and fitness. There was a search. My uncles and their military buddies actually went and searched the woods before the police and rangers. Nobody found anything, just weird things carved into the trees, but the symbols were just gibberish. They literally had no meaning. A week ago, I went on a bike trip to nearby woods. When I decided to go back, I saw a fucking wolf staring at me. I fell off the bike and started to scream. The wolf came closer. It looked like it wanted to kill me. I've closed my eyes, waiting for the worst. But when it came closer, it touched my arm with something like a rope. Then I opened my eyes and saw that he was a collar and has a collar. That made me a little less scared, and I thought, if it wanted to kill me, it would have already done this. So I risked it and pet him. His fur was so damn soft and comfy. His owner came to me and helped me get up and told me that his wolf really likes people and always wants to play. I went with them to a little open area and threw him a ball. That day was like an emotional roller coaster. Luckily, I didn't take my phone, so I don't have any photos. I got a phone call from my best friend very early in the morning around 2 a.m. He's crying hysterically, very much not his character. This wasn't sad crying, this was I'm scared for my life crying. I asked him where he was at. He replied through tears, I'm on the road next to the cemetery. Will you come get me? I of course say yes. I get dressed and I drive to where he said he was at. I saw his car first, but he wasn't in it. He was standing on the other side of the road with his flashlight and his knife drawn. We were high schoolers. We thought we were tough, but he was as pale as a ghost. I asked him what happened. He grabbed me and cried on my shoulder, and once I got him to calm down, he said that he was driving past the cemetery, and he looked in his rearview mirror, and there was a rotten corpse of a woman in his back seat. I looked in his car with his flashlight, but didn't see anything in his back seat. He wouldn't go near his car. I know fear. I know terror. That was pure horror. I don't know if that's what he actually saw, or how to explain it, but the poor guy was scared out of his gourd. I took him home, and we got his car the next morning. It was very strange, and I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I trusted the guy and had no reason to doubt what he saw. All I know for a fact is I've never seen anyone so scared in my life. Last fall, I got a call from my manager saying they were overstaffed, and because I had already hit overtime that week, I wouldn't have to go in that night. I was super relieved because it was a great day out. And on nice days, I usually go on hikes at this nearby nature park a couple of miles from my house. This park is about 30 miles of trail, bike paths, and rivers. Anyways, fast forward an hour or two and I found myself sitting alone at the loading dock for small boats and kayaks, which was down a narrow path, pretty secluded and far away from the other trails. All of a sudden I hear footsteps, and out comes this older guy wearing normal hiking gear and carrying a lunchbox. He stands above me, and we're both just staring out into the water. We started talking, and he was a really nice man. He even offered to cut off a piece of his apple that he was snacking on for me. I declined because I was still a little weary of him. After about 5 to 7 minutes or so, he tells me to enjoy the rest of my day off and head back up the pathway to the main trails. I remember leaving not long after him, maybe 45 seconds to a minute later, but I never caught up to him, which I thought was strange because it was a pretty long path and he didn't seem incredibly fast. I made my way back and to the gravel parking lot where I had left my truck and decided to look at the bulletin board to see if there were any events coming up at the park because they normally have food trucks or 5Ks out on the weekends. Instead, I saw a poster for a missing man last seen there at the park. It was him, the man that I had just talked with not 20 minutes ago. The craziest part about this was that the flyer that was hanging was clearly pretty old, as it had some water damage and a few tears in it. I talked to the nearest park employee I could find, and he said that they would keep an eye out, but the guy was never found, and his family still has no idea what happened to him. I don't know if I'm crazy, but I'm sure the man I talked with was the exact same man that was on the flyer. I live in North Texas. I have never told anyone this because I didn't think anyone would believe me, and I think there's a part of me that doesn't want to believe it. This happened somewhere 10 to 15 years ago. I was in college. It was during the winter. My dad had a stock tank. At the time, he had a water pump that irrigated water to other parts of the property. He and my mom were at my sister's basketball game. They were going to be late, so my dad called and asked me to go turn on the heat lamp in the well house. A cold front was coming in, and he wanted the lights on. For those not familiar with Texas weather, a cold front can drop temps 30 plus degrees very quickly. It was already dark. I grabbed a flashlight. My dog has a kennel at the front of the house. The well house is a few hundred yards behind the house. We have a large light on the garage that provides light at night, but not much light past the front of the house. We live next to a busy highway, but it's a very rural area, so there are no street lights or even lights from neighbors. Beyond the comforting circle of the garage light, it's pitch black, unless a car goes by, especially that night because it was cloudy, so there was no moonlight, even though it was a full moon. I went out, flashlight in hand, and my dog is whining and doing her excited little bark because she thinks we're going for a walk. I considered leashing her up and taking her with me, but didn't because it was getting cold and about to get a hell of a lot colder. So I wanted to run out back, turn on the lamp, and run back in the warm house. Now, if you were outside and she was doing the play with me whine bark, it didn't stop until she saw you go inside or you gave her lovin's. I gave her a quick pet and I went out to the well house about 200 yards from the house. I noticed I didn't hear her anymore. It was dead silent. No cars. Nothing. Okay. I walk another 100 yards to the well house, quickly because it's cold. I'm fidgeting with the lamp just inside the door to get it on. I see headlights cresting the hill above our house, cursing the fucking heat lamp because it isn't coming on. As this car tops the hill, I see something in the ditch move on the opposite side of the road, about 400 to 500 yards away. I didn't really think much of it. Deer run that time of year, and it was just movement. I saw no particular shape. Other cars are coming in both directions, so their headlights are periodically lighting up the road. I saw some movement in the ditch on our side of the road, again, thinking it was a deer or something. I finally got the stupid heat lamp to turn on, closed the door, and just for fun, shone my light on by the stock tank. God, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I would have just turned around and gone back in. At the back of the tank, I see something moving. It definitely isn't a deer. It looked like it was hobbling and hunched and looked like it was maybe 4 feet tall. It's headed toward a rocky, wooded area at the back of the property. I'm still looking at this weird-ass thing, trying to put it into the appropriate box. Is it a cat, coyote, or a giant-ass raccoon? It isn't fitting into anything I know. My flashlight isn't illuminating it very well. At some point this thing turns around. It is no longer hunched, and it went from 4 feet to about 7 feet. I'm frozen in fear at this point. The thing steps a bit awkwardly. It looks like it lifted its feet really high with each step into the tank. It's halfway in what has to be cold as hell water, but about 3 feet of its body is sticking out. And it looks like it's gliding across the water. The end of the tank it went in on was 15 plus feet deep. It got halfway across the tank before the lead drained out of my feet, and my brain said, "Run, you fucking idiot," and I ran faster than I've ever run before. I ran in the house, slammed the door shut, locked it, turned every light on in the house, and hid under a blanket. Prior to that, I had looked out of my bedroom window near dusk. This was something during elementary, and I saw what I thought was a dog with super long legs walking near the tank. My parents told me it was probably just a dog that had gotten loose from a neighbor, maybe a Great Dane, and I wonder if it's the same thing I saw that night. Prior to that night, the rocky wooded area behind our house is one place my dog would never go. We didn't try going back there after that night. I would walk her up and around there, and we would get to a point where she would refuse to go further. She would whimper and start pulling me back the other way. One time I dropped the leash and walked into the area trying to show her it was safe. She barked at me, pawed at the ground, cried and yelped, but would not come to me. Obviously, she knew something I didn't. There have also been times my dad has found half-eaten fish around the tank. He thought it was raccoons, but I don't think it was. I've only seen it once since that night, and either it jumped 50 fucking feet into the air or it flew away. I'm not fucking sure. I don't look out at the tank after dark when I'm at my parents' house anymore. I was 13 and used to live in a small town in a big house in a pretty quiet neighborhood. This house of mine was located not so far from an infamous T intersection known for many horrifying accidents that resulted in death on the spot. The road connected with this T intersection is a one-way road where huge trailers, trucks, and night buses went often at full speed, 100 to 120 km/h. It mostly happened after 9 p.m., whenever there were car crashes. I always heard the loud banging crash and tire skid sound clearly, and my parents always forbade me to watch the aftermath since it's really close, and I could see the crash site just from my front gate. One night at 10 p.m. I was playing in the living room and my parents were busy with something. I heard a loud car tire skid sound and really loud crash. I bolted out of curiosity to the front gate to see what had happened. There was still no one there. I saw a motorcycle get wrecked, and unfortunately it was a hit-and-run accident, which was quite frequent in this area. I saw nobody, just splattered blood on the side road pavement. Soon my mom came out and told me to stay inside. I begged to differ and persuaded my mom to accompany me to watch the crash site much closer. She agreed on one condition. I'm allowed to watch from 15 meters. The crash site now is crowded with people trying to help the victim. The victim's body was thrown into a ditch by the road. 4 people had to work together to recover the body and cover it with some newspapers. There was this one man that I saw from afar, wearing a clean white shirt, sitting beside the dead body, showing his grief, sobbing and keeping his hand on his head like he was in dead trouble. After some minutes, I was bothered by it because it seemed that no one had noticed his presence, like he wasn't there to begin with. 10 minutes later, a police car arrived and a police officer came out with some relatives of the victim, his spouse and daughter, crying their eyes out on the spot. To my surprise, the sobbing man with the white shirt was gone. Later that night, I told my mother what I'd seen about this man and with a white shirt. She looked pale and asked me whether what I'd seen was really true. I nodded. She later told me that there was no one wearing a white shirt, and there was also no one crying and sobbing by the dead body, except for the dead body itself. The motorcyclist victim was male, in his 30s, wearing a white shirt.
I guess, just want to say hello. So I see a lot of comments about how the videos are made and questions about it that have come up in the past. So just, I don't even know why, but only because I'm light on content today to talk about, besides the stories. It's just to say, so generally I get the text filed to me from my partner, the Word file, anywhere between midnight my time and 8 or 9 o'clock a.m. Now, most of you know I have a job or 2 or 4, so depending on the day, and since we do record every single day. Maybe once in a while, we'll stack a few, and so I'll read like two or three in one day and then not read for a couple days. Doesn't happen often, but generally this is an everyday thing. So again, we try to put content out for you guys at least every 24 hours without fail and make it new and fresh. Once in a while, a story may overlap or two, but between the two of us, we really do try to make sure that we don't overlap that much. Anyway, hope you guys are well. I see the hype numbers are really going up, so thank you guys so much, and let's keep this thing going together. All right? Have a great day.
I used to do some urban exploring in my late teens. One night, my friends and I decided to explore this very large abandoned house about 20 kilometers out of town. The house had been rumored to have belonged to a wealthy family with a newborn baby. The father was an avid hunter, the mother a doting homemaker. Apparently, at some point during a summer in the late 90s, the husband left on a hunting trip and mysteriously never returned. The wife soon after disappeared, leaving the house abandoned. Whether the husband was out for a proverbial pack of smokes or whether something more sinister had happened, it is unclear. I tend to believe the latter, though. You will soon understand why. That brings us to 2007, when we were never looters by any means. When my friends and I decided to check the place out, we just wanted to take pictures. We waited until after darkness fell because, well, what were we doing wasn't strictly legal. Then we entered the house through the front door, the only door that wasn't locked. As we looked around the house, it became very apparent that the previous owners had left in a hurry. They hadn't taken any of their belongings with them. There wasn't even a baby room on the upper floor with a crib and rocking chair. I will never forget the sickened feeling that came over me as I imagined the incredibly sad circumstances in which the home had been abandoned. This feeling must have been shared by my comrades, as we all decided not to linger. We all met up in the main floor living room and together headed toward the front door, the only way out. Now, we were pretty experienced urban explorers by this point. We had come prepared with any supplies we thought we have had needed in an emergency. Absolutely nothing could have prepared us for what we saw next. As we approached the front door, we noticed that there was something different, something that wasn't the same as when we entered through that door. As we inched closer, all on high alert, we realized there was something hanging in the doorway, something long and thin, swinging slightly with the draught from outside. Soon we came close enough to make out what it was. While we had been exploring the house, someone else had come in silently and hung a spinal cord strung together with some twine in the front door. I hope to goodness that it was a deer spine, but I can't tell you for certain that it was. All I know is that the fear of whatever lunatic who had left this gift for us was stronger than the fear of the spine itself. We ran, or I assume we did. To be honest, this part is an epinephrine-induced blackout for me, and pushed the macabre piñata out of the way and got back to our vehicle as fast as we could. I've never returned, nor have I ever participated in urban exploring again. I manage an aquatic park that is surrounded by woods. I know, stupid. It's so buggy and there are so many animals that get through the fence and into the pools. It was closing time. All the patrons were gone, all the lifeguards had left, and my other management co-worker had showered and was dressing up to go on a date with her boyfriend. I had wished her good luck because it was the second date, and locked the front doors behind her as I really had to go to the bathroom. I checked the men's locker room one more time to make sure the entryway door was locked, and there was no sitting water or any personal belongings left behind. The lifeguards sometimes leave something behind while closing and cleaning it. Then I checked the family hallway, and there was a handhold metal crank left on one of the benches to the tall umbrellas we put down and put back up the next day. I cursed out whatever male lifeguard left it there and tucked it under my arm, and then proceeded to hurry my way to the women's locker room and went into the first stall. While I sat down to pee and was checking my phone and watching videos, I was reaching for the toilet paper on the stall wall divider, and there was this man's face underneath, the wall was just staring at me with his eyes wide open. I never screamed so loud in my life and got off the toilet and clung to the brick wall. I could see his feet and shadow in the stall next to me, and I unlocked my door, and there was another guy standing in the main open area of the locker room. I hit him over the head as hard as I could with the umbrella crank and ran out to the front doors. I unlocked one and ran out to the parking lot where there were no other cars. Of course, my car keys had to be in my work locker. I wasn't sure if, while I was running to the car, the guys had left the building or not. I took my keys and locked the door again to try to lock them in there, and started screaming because I felt like no matter which way I turned, they'd be behind me, and his face underneath the stall divider wall kept flashing into my mind. Turns out, some of the 16-year-old lifeguard guys were in the forest, I guess talking in the woods. They heard me screaming and came running and called 911. I dropped my phone in the bathroom stall. Cops came, and 2 men were handicapped and had social problems, and their caretaker thought they had left with another caretaker. The man I hit had stitches but was all right. They're from a town that is 45 minutes away, and both caretakers got fired. I haven't seen the 2 gentlemen again, and I still can't go to the bathroom in a stall because every time I reach for toilet paper, I think of when I saw a face upside down just staring at me. I can't imagine if I had to have run through the woods trying to get away, and no, the male lifeguards had no relation to the gentleman. What makes me more pissed is how negligently the women's locker room was checked by all of us staff.